We are joined again by Kenny White, the Wizard of Odds, on a Tuesday. Looking forward to another busy week of college football. You know, Kenny, I have a friend of mine who tells me just bet Army and Navy every week against the spread. If you've done that off the opener, you are 12-1 this season. But I'm curious how somebody who makes numbers for a living can properly power rate teams that haven't really played anybody yet. And now Navy with a huge contest this weekend against Notre Dame.
Yeah, Sammy, that's a good friend of yours to give you that advice. These teams, I've always loved military teams because the discipline, number one, and number two, how smart they are. So you're getting a really smart football player and discipline, and they're in great shape. But they are tough to rate because they're not as big, they're not as strong, and they don't run as fast as the greatest teams in college football. But you know what? They don't have to play that type of schedule, though. That comes up very rarely during the season, and we're going to see it this week. But I rate them out exactly the way I do every team at the beginning of the year for their size, speed, and experience. But I've got to add into the calculation the offense, because their offense is something that no one sees, and it is a surprise when teams see it. So that is their advantage, that they run that triple option. And the rules have been changed throughout the years to try to stop them from doing what they're doing, because they do a lot of cut blocks and they do a lot of cross blocks. And it's just an amazing offense where everybody's in motion, and it's the shell game. It's the three card Monty, and you don't know who has the football. And then all of a sudden the fullback's up the middle and he's got 15 yards.
Your numbers actually lean to Notre Dame, but I'm curious to see how Notre Dame stops this attack. And Navy's also throwing the ball a little bit more. So we shall see as the week comes on. This number opened 13.5 down to 13 at Circa, 12 at the South Point. I want to go to the SEC if we can. They are calling for your guy, Kalen DeBoer's head already. It's been 7 games. He has a $70 million buyout that I don't think is going to get exercised anytime soon. But with Alabama here in these resilient rows, we'll call them, they were so good under Saban at bouncing back from adversity. We don't know that they can do this under DeBoer, and this number has come through the 14. Also, some rumors about Jalen Milroe potentially not being anywhere near 100%. This total opened at 57, down to 55 at a lot of these books, 54.5 at FanDuel. So some money on the under and some money on Missouri. Not really a surprise given Alabama now has 2 losses.
Yeah, it is a shock. It could be another day for a show talking about coaches and how they get hired and that philosophy from universities. It's horrendous. They have a horrible opinion. Usually they're never right with the guy they have. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but they are wrong way more than they are right. And I would say maybe 3 out of 4 hires are incorrect. Jalen Milroe, if we just took 10% off his rating, Sammy, it's 3 points to the betting line. 20% is 6 points off the betting line. He's that valuable of a football player. So if he's only 80%, this is going to be a tough spot again for Alabama. We'll see what happens. We know he's going to play, but how healthy is he? So when you don't know, it's games like that, I just have to pass.
All right. And a game that you will be circling or have circled is Mike Gundy catching. You can get a touchdown right now. Baylor 172 opens 4 out to 6.5 at Pinnacle, 7 at Circa, 7 at Chris, 7 at Buckeye. They just bet Baylor up to 7, and that might be a little too high.
Yeah, I think it is. 4-game losing streak's tough. Oklahoma State has a very manageable schedule the rest of the way. This was a game that before the season started, I had them a pretty healthy favorite in this game, and I'm sure they would have been. But they have Baylor, Arizona State at home, at TCU, Texas Tech at home, and at Colorado. And I think right now at Colorado may be the most difficult game on the schedule. But Mike Gundy has a 18-season winning streak and bowl streak at risk. They've had some tough losses. I really feel like they've been in it. They've lost the turnover battle in 2 of the last 4 games, and they were right there with BYU right to the end, but lose that football game. So this is a really must-win game for Oklahoma State this week. I think they could win the game, and they're getting 7 points. Mike Gundy on the road, Sammy, 67% spread cover, and it's not a small sample It's a big sample.
That's Kenny White. For more information, KennyWhiteSports.com. Get your hands on the power ratings and make your own numbers, move your own numbers. Thanks, Kenny.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me on the show.